What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, I wanted to just kind of talk about this video here for a second because I think that it's something that I think all of us can kind of agree upon is getting a little strange. So, the 53-man roster came out last week, and we have all seen it now, and a lot of us had a lot of questions, about this unit and what is going to happen with everything going on. So I kind of wanted to talk about it real quick and to see what we can talk about and see if you guys agree with me or not. So first things first, when it comes to the wide receiver group, especially, it's a very thin group. Okay, so the Indianapolis Colts at this moment have 4 wide receivers on the roster, and Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce being the only 2 that are on the outside. Now, obviously, the Indianapolis Colts have, I thought it was 3 or 4 wide receivers on the practice squad, but when you think about it, going into this season, I don't see any way that you only keep 4 receivers on a roster because when one guy goes down, and inevitably someone will, then what do you do when that guy comes out, and what do you plan on doing? I know that at some point the Indianapolis Colts are going to bring somebody onto the active roster. They have to, because rolling with 4 wide receivers into a football game is just not going to get the job done, because at some point when 1 or 2 of these guys go down, you don't have any other options. So it's weird that we still only have the 4 on the roster, and the fact that we haven't retained anyone or haven't attempted to go out and find someone. I swore the other day we signed someone at wide receiver, but I didn't remember their name. But obviously they're not on the Indianapolis Colts depth chart as of this moment. But it's just so weird that position specifically as well, we're very thin, and yet we're only having so many guys. I imagine probably due to the fact that they're going to rework it before the game on Sunday, but it's still a little strange to only have 4 wide receivers on the active roster going into the final week, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any more help coming. Now, in regards to the offensive linemen, the Indianapolis Colts really don't have a ton to go off of. We have the top 5. We all know this. Blake Freeland as the backup right tackle. Wesley French as a backup center with Danny Pinter going down. Josh Sills, who was the left guard from the Eagles that we had just signed. So that was a good one. Ryan Hayes as well, who was the backup tackle for Miami. That's about it that we have. I think that and there's no right guard depth. I'd imagine they'd probably just move some guys around. So as you're sitting here, you are sitting here at 9. But I'm sitting here also wondering, if I felt like there was better opportunities at guard depth, especially going into this offseason and even during camp and all of this stuff. And it just doesn't seem like, again, the Indianapolis Colts are really trying too hard to go and get quality depth, especially at that right guard position with Will Fries being there. Obviously, the confidence that Chris Ballard has in Will Fries and this unit is uncanny and unwavering. But I think most Colts Nation agrees that if 1 or 2 of these guys goes down, it's going to get really bad. It's going to get really bad. And I don't know what else we can really do on it. You never want to take into account especially one of your offensive linemen getting hurt. But these guys get hurt, man. And if you don't have quality depth, it just makes it really bad. Really bad. And then, of course, we talked about the excessive use of tight ends. The Colts had 5 active tight ends on their roster when the 53-man was announced. Now, Jelani Woods has been placed on the IR. So that means now there's only 4. So I figured that was going to happen. But we're still getting the question of, when Jelani comes back, who is going to get the boot? Because you're not going to run with 5 tight ends, especially when you only have 4 or 5 wide receivers on this roster. You're not going to run with more tight ends than you are receivers. That just can't happen. So it's definitely a little bit more mind-boggling. I understand for depth purposes right now because Jelani is hurt, so you want that 4th tight end there. But, I mean, it was still nonetheless very strange to see that happen with having that many tight ends active in the very beginning. And especially since right after the roster got announced, I think the day after the Colts had done this and the waiver wire claims came out, one of the first moves that the Colts made was signing another tight end. And I'm like, why? You have your 4. That is the last position you need to be thinking about right now, is that position, yet you're signing them. I think they've signed 2 since that has happened. So, it just makes no sense why Ballard is continuing to sign or keep bringing in these tight ends to continue to try and do more when you've got a young, talented unit right in front of you with that. It just doesn't make much sense to be focusing so much on the tight end position so much when there's offensive line depth that could be improved. There's wide receiver depth that could be improved. And we go to the defense. I mean, again, the Indianapolis Colts have, what is it now? They have 11 defensive linemen on the active roster right now. I don't know if that's going to continue to stay that way. I'd imagine that 1 or 2 of these guys are probably going to end up getting taken away. It's just so weird again, how they approached it, because Jake Martin got brought in. Isaiah Land got brought in afterwards. You got Samson Ibukum and Kwity Paye. You got Dio Adangbo and Tyquan Lewis as the edge guys. Both Tyquan and Dio have the ability to play on the inside if you ever so chose to do that. I'd get it if you're wanting to move Dio more inside or Tyquan more inside at times, and then you have that extra defensive end depth. But then that would just not make sense why you have 5 defensive tackles and then have 2 guys that can also play on the inside whenever they so choose to. So it just seems like a constant weird assortment of these defensive linemen that I can't quite grasp my head around. And I don't know if the Colts just are rocking with, they're going to probably only rock with 4 safeties this year. And then, they'll address the situation when it comes to it, if somebody gets hurt. Obviously, Trevor Denbo would be the last guy that you would have in that mix, because Nick Cross is going to be safety 3. Just certainly hope that there's not a lot of injuries that happen in the safety room, because that would probably mean that some of these young corners are going to have to be moved out of position in order to make things work. So, again, I'm sure that some last minute things are going to change, like as we get towards the work week. That's going to probably be moved around a little bit, but it definitely has a feeling of some scarcity in certain places that really need help, and overabundance in other positions where it just doesn't seem like it's needed. So let me know what you guys think on this. Am I overreacting, or do you guys think that this is going to be an issue if we go into the season looking like this? That's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much, and as always, go Colts.